Crypto is really only good for gambling and crime.
Bitcoin is just beanie babies for tech bros.
The exchanges will at some point shut down effectively. What does crypto do? Give me one thing that it does.
Let me give you some perspective. So we came across a video with Hasan, Minhaj, and Ben McKenzie. And there's some pretty binary or black and white statements around crypto. And as a regulated exchange out of Norway, we felt we wanted to give some perspective and some commentary into these not blunt statements, but they're very sort of binary. And to be honest, this was maybe part of the conversations 5-10 years back when we talked about blockchain and crypto assets. So we're going to take a look at some of the clips and then give our perspectives to some of these.
Why is crypto used so much for crime and money laundering?
Because of the pseudonymity of the blockchain. Because you can't tell who is sending what where, and you're avoiding banks.
Right.
It's really, really helpful for criminals. The next time you see an article about cryptocurrency, try this exercise. Exchange the word crypto for money laundering and just see if the article makes sense the same way. Crypto is really only good for gambling and crime.
Oh, those were some blunt statements and pretty direct. And I mean, as a regulated crypto exchange in 2026, this falls short. I'm sorry. Let me give you some perspective. The statement that the pseudonymity of the blockchain, it just gives you like a free space for bad actors. The beauty with blockchain is that every transaction is recorded, hence the block. So in every block, there's an evidence of the transaction. So that means since the genesis of Bitcoin, we can take one Bitcoin and we can trace it back. Where has it been? Who's holding it? Is it on a regulated exchange? Is it on a non-custodial wallet? We can see it and you can't erase it. So the fact that this is some criminal money laundering network, it might have been used for fraudulent activity in the beginning, but just like fiat has. It's very blunt to just say that this is a tool for money laundering. 5-10 years ago, this might have been more often, but in 2026, come on, man. In fact, the latest Chainalysis report from 2026 states that less than 1% of all transactions in all of blockchain is tied to illicit activity. Nowhere near the numbers that Ben is fronting in the video. That's like saying that internet is only good for piracy just because of Napster existed.
We should ask, like, if outside of the gambling, it's 90% crime and 10% positive social purpose, and that 10% might be generous. Should it exist? Is this a good thing for the world?
Okay, again, we're talking about 90% of all activities tied to gambling and illicit activity. I'm just going to use the last 12 months of this, behind us. There's around $70 trillion that passes through, not Bitcoin, not Ethereum, or any of the shitcoins that people like to call them, but their stablecoin volumes, over 70 trillion. And roughly 10% of that, meaning 70 billion in stablecoin transaction volume the last 12 months are in between you and me and the people around us. They're real life transactions. And these numbers are not from anyone. These are pulled from Visa's development center. Yes, Visa, the card we all know and probably have in our wallets today. So this should give you a little bit wider perspective and a better perspective when people around us say that, 90% is tied to gambling and illicit activity.
And, good luck. Like, at some point, it's just so hard to point to exchanges that haven't collapsed. So, I don't wish this on the future, but like, it's just, if history is any precedent, like, the exchanges will at some point shut down effectively because there aren't enough buyers when the price crashes.
Oh, I mean, you're talking about exchanges that won't shut down. We've been here since 2018. We're building, we're growing, we're expanding. So we're at least one living proof. And I know our business, there's a couple of other prominent exchanges. You probably know some of them yourself. Regulatory requirements that are coming into the business through the MiCA regulation here in Europe. I know in the States, there's the Clarity Act currently now at the Senate waiting for markups. The regulation is coming here. And those who abide to that regulation and stands the test of scrutiny, we're here. We're going to be here. And we're going to continue to drive this business forward. So just to say that it's hard to find exchanges that won't go belly up, that's, again, some more perspective to that statement. So, I mean, looking at FTX, yes, they collapsed. There's been exchanges and, Celsius, 3 hours, things collapse because of lack of regulation. But I think the industry is maturing. We're now being held to the same regulatory scrutiny that the banks are. But I think this is a new technology, it's a new industry, so the frauds, they surface more quickly.
Celebrities were out there selling this like loosely regulated financial product with no understanding. No offense to Matt Damon, but he doesn't know shit about blockchain.
History is filled with almosts, with those who almost adventured, who almost achieved, but ultimately, for them it proved to be too much.
But you were watching the commercial. We got to play the footage.
But ultimately, for them it proved to be too much. Fortune favors the brave.
I mean, what the fuck? What the fuck does Matt Damon know about cryptocurrency? Nothing!
Are you mad at him for this, or because he's more famous than you are?
Well, I must admit, seeing Matt Damon speak on behalf of Crypto.com, I also was a bit surprised, but take a step back. Celebrities endorsing brands and financial products is not something new. But I think the fact he's addressing loosely regulated financial products is that the regulations that are coming into play, both here in Europe and also in the States, these are quite significant. And look at Micah here. Man, there's 4 pillars that drives this regulation. It means that we have to have some of the capital tucked away so that we are never insolvent. It means that we cannot speculate and gamble with the funds or the deposit funds that our customers deposit to our exchange. It means that we must oversee audits and regulatory scrutiny from the financial authorities. In Norway, it's Finanstilsynet, and they will audit us. They will put regulations on us, and they will watch closely. And then we have to be very transparent with the risk, which means that we cannot blatantly go out and say, put your money here, and then we're going to guarantee. No, we're going to have to be upfront and transparent on what you're engaging with. Yes, there's risk involvement and investment in both crypto as it is in gold.
One guy, just absolutely heartbreaking, a fellow Texan, I think he worked construction or something, like really like salt of the earth dude. And he had a bunch of money in it and he lost it. And he was saying all he wanted was to like be able to take more time off of work and spend more time with his daughter.
It was heartbreaking.
And it was like,
it was super heartbreaking.
I have kids and you just like, your heart breaks for him.
Mostly just a shot at freedom, a shot at a little bit more claiming of my time back and that time I can't get with my daughter back. I just had so many plans,
I'm sorry.
I feel like I let her down big time.
In this clip, I think first and foremost, we have to acknowledge that this is real human trauma. This is something that I wish on no, friend or foe. Going into investments like this, like the interview, and losing all their life savings is not something I wish for anyone. This is sadly an example of what happens when platforms operate without regulatory oversight. And this is part of why we do what we do in MBX, why we follow regulations, why we have regulations in place. Celsius, as they were referring to, operated with no regulatory oversight. They went out there and made huge promises. And sadly, people went along.
I did a bunch of research on gambling and interviewed a bunch of people, and crypto addiction is gambling addiction. And it's kind of like gambling on steroids because you can bet literally at any point. Right, the markets are open 24/7. You just have to have access through your phone. It's marketed to dudes as a way of making money, and young guys are particularly susceptible to it, and it can ruin not just their lives but the lives of their families too.
This is no financial advice from our part, but like I touched upon earlier, the transparency in risk, like we have to be there. So we have to acknowledge that, going into this is risky. But to just, blatantly say that gambling addiction is crypto addiction or is on speed, it's a bit blunt if you ask me. We also offer tools to do this responsibly or in a more responsible way, which means that reoccurring buys, setting aside money that you can afford to invest over time, not going in with your life savings at a moment in time to expect that something's going to turn up the next day with 100x's next to it. So responsible, reoccurring purchases like our DCA offering, letting you put in money you can afford to invest. That is not your daily spending or the money you need for rent.
Let's make the crypto follow the same rule as the US dollar then. Let's regulate these like crypto exchanges as banks and see if they can pass muster.
Right.
They can't, and they don't want to. They would be terrified of that because they can't do it. The way that so our banking system has rules. The two most important ones are KYC and AML, know your customer, and anti-money laundering. The banks, when you get an account, you have to fill out all this paperwork, and they really need to know who it is that they're loaning the money to or facilitating opening the account for. Criminals don't like that.
Wow, that clip, there's so many thoughts going through my head. I mean, to put it short, we have a full-fledged AML team. They, perform everything that the banks do, the KYC, the AML laws and regulations that we all play under. And that makes sure that the statements of saying that regulate them like the banks, give them the same requirements, we actually have those. And it's 2026 and they're in play.
Started in Oslo, built it from scratch. Crypto done proper, no strings attached. Every trade transparent, every coin legit. Norwegian Block Exchange, that's it. NBX. We built the future. NBX. No games, no rumors. NBX. The north is rising. NBX. Yeah, we keep climbing. Gold on the chain now, gold on the chain. Tokenized metals, a different lane. Said it, forget it, let the